Welcome back. Page 88 speaking. What's your guess? What do you think were the reasons for these events? Suggest two different explanations for each. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to open a document and you're going to write down the answers, okay? In this case, you're going to write down two suggestions, two different explanations for each one. For example, the bride didn't show up for her wedding. She sent a bunch of flowers to the groom with a note, "Thank you." What do you think happened to her? Why would she send a note? You're going to write down two different explanations. A man arrived at the airport with a suitcase and saw his brother. He grabbed the cab and went back home. Again, two different explanations. It was a hot sunny day. A man arrived home. He was soaking wet, like really wet. What do you think happened? Two different explanations. You write down, okay? When you finish doing that, we go to interchange 13. Think of the possibilities. What's your best explanation for some unusual events? So we go to page 128, and here it is on your book. It says, what do you think might have happened in each situation? Talk about possibilities for each situation. So in this case, we got four different situations. So you're going to write down the explanations for each one, what possibilities. Now, how would you do that? Well, I'm going to show you right here on the bottom some useful expressions that might help. You can start by saying maybe Pete made some bad investments, or he might have sent all his money on. Okay, so that's probably the way you can start your sentences. Okay, you're going to make one for each example. And you can use the useful expressions like maybe he or she was when, or perhaps he and she was. You can also use he or she may have, when, or he, she might have. Okay, so remember, four sentences from this exercise. Agree on one explanation for each situation and share it with the class. Be ready to answer any questions. Well, in this case, you're just going to send your explanations. Okay, so we go all the way back where we started on page 88 right here. And then we have perspectives. I'm going nuts. Okay, listen to a person complaining about her family members. Check the response you think is the best for each problem. So you're going to check the response, and the only thing you're going to do is write down the response you checked on your answer sheet. You know, the one that you're going to send. Okay, so listen.
Page 88. Exercise 8. Perspectives. I'm going nuts. Part A. Listen to a person complaining about her family members. Check the response you think is best for each problem.
Last night, my sister borrowed my car without asking. She did call me a couple of times, but I was in a meeting and couldn't answer the phone. We had a big fight, and now we're not speaking.
She shouldn't have used your car without permission, no matter what.
You could have been more understanding. After all, she tried to call you first. My nephew is so inconsiderate. He called me at 3 in the morning to talk about his problems with his best friend, and I had to get up very early to work. I was really mad.
You could have told him that you had to get up early the next day.
Your nephew is always doing that. You shouldn't have answered his call. My brother came over for the weekend with his wife and 3 kids. They made such a mess of the apartment. I'll never invite them over again.
I would have asked them to help clean up the place.
I wouldn't have invited them to spend the weekend. Having overnight guests can be really stressful.
Okay, now that you heard it, the next step is to write down the ones you chose. It could have been this one or this one. Okay, so do you talk about pet peeves with your friends? Do you give advice? Do they give you advice? Okay, so this happens all the time. Some stuff is really annoying. So how do you deal with that? Okay, just think about it. So remember, write down the answers on a document. You can send it as a Word document or a PDF. Okay? Send it to the Edmodo assignment, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.